How 500 hungry pirates got food every day, the untold story. Picture this. You're in charge of feeding 500 hungry, dangerous pirates every single day. We're talking about 500 grown men who burn thousands of calories climbing, rigging, hauling cannons, and fighting for their lives. They're stuck on wooden ships for months at a time, with no grocery stores, no restaurants, and definitely no food delivery apps. Oh, and if you mess up and they go hungry, they'll literally throw you overboard. This is the reality that pirate cooks faced during the Golden Age of Piracy. And let me tell you, it was way more complicated than just catch some fish and call it a day. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how these floating cities of criminals managed to keep everyone fed, and trust me, their methods were absolutely ingenious. The numbers that kept pirate cooks awake at night. Let's start with some math that'll blow your mind. A typical pirate needed about 30 calories per day just to function. These weren't desk workers, they were doing intense physical labor in harsh conditions. Climbing, rigging, hauling heavy ropes, loading cannons, fighting with swords, all of this burns serious calories. Now multiply that by 500 pirates. We're talking about 1.5 million calories that needed to be produced every single day. That's the equivalent of about 30 McDonald's Big Macs. Every day, on a wooden ship, in the middle of the ocean, with no refrigeration. But here's where it gets really crazy. A large pirate fleet wasn't just one ship. Some of the most successful pirate captains commanded fleets of 10, 15, even 20 ships. Blackbeard's fleet at its peak had over 400 pirates spread across multiple vessels. Bartholomew Roberts commanded fleets with more than 500 pirates total. The logistics were absolutely insane. A fleet of 500 pirates needed to store and consume about 150 pounds of food per month. That's 75 tons of food. They needed to carry enough supplies to feed a small town, all while maintaining the speed and maneuverability needed for piracy. Here's something that'll surprise you. Food storage took up more space on pirate ships than cannons, gunpowder, and treasure combined. The average pirate ship dedicated about 60% of its cargo space to food and water. Pirates literally sailed around in floating grocery stores that happened to have cannons attached. The great food challenges of pirate life. Before we get into the solutions, let's talk about the problems. Feeding 500 pirates wasn't just about quantity. It was about dealing with challenges that would drive modern food service managers completely insane. First, there was the preservation problem. This was the 1600s and 1700s, no refrigeration, no freezers, no vacuum packaging. Food had to last for months in tropical heat, humidity, and salt air. Fresh meat would rot within days, vegetables would turn to mush, bread would develop mold that could literally poison you. Then there was the space problem. Ships had limited storage and every cubic foot mattered. Pirates had to balance food storage with weapons, ammunition, treasure, and living space. They became masters of food efficiency, choosing supplies that provided maximum nutrition in minimum space. The cooking problem was equally challenging. Try cooking for 500 people on a wooden ship that's constantly rocking back and forth, with limited fuel and the constant risk of burning down your entire vessel. Oh, and you're doing this while potentially being chased by naval ships or preparing for battle. Weather was another nightmare. Storms could last for weeks, making cooking impossible. Food supplies could get soaked with salt water, ruining months of carefully preserved provisions. Pirates had to plan for every possible disaster while maintaining enough food variety to prevent scurvy and other diseases. The preserved food revolution, making food last forever. Pirates became absolute masters of food preservation, developing techniques that were centuries ahead of their time. Their methods were so effective that some are still used today by survival experts and military operations. The most common preservation method was salting. Pirates would buy massive quantities of salt pork and salt beef, meat that had been packed in salt for months or even years. This meat was rock hard and tasted like leather, but it would last almost indefinitely. One pirate journal describes salt pork as meat that fights back when you try to chew it. But here's where pirates got creative. They didn't just buy pre-salted meat. They learned to salt their own food, creating custom preservation systems that gave them more control over quality and taste. When they captured ships carrying fresh meat, they'd immediately start the salting process, turning perishable food into long-lasting supplies. Hardtack was another pirate staple, basically crackers made from flour and water that were baked until they were harder than rocks. These biscuits could last for years if kept dry, and they provided essential carbohydrates. Pirates would soak hardtack in water, rum, or soup to make it edible. Some crews would pound hardtack into flour and use it for making other foods. Pirates also mastered the art of smoking meat. They'd set up smoking operations on beaches during longer stops, creating jerky and smoked fish that could last for months. Some pirate crews became so skilled at smoking that they could preserve an entire cow or pig in a matter of days. Here's a technique that'll surprise you. Pirates learned to preserve food in fat. They'd pack cooked meat in containers filled with melted lard or tallow. The fat created an airtight seal that prevented spoilage. Some pirates even preserved entire meals this way, creating what were basically 18th century TV dinners. Cheese was another preservation miracle. Pirates would buy huge wheels of hard cheese that could last for months without spoiling. Some crews would coat their cheese in wax or store it in alcohol to make it last even longer. Cheese provided crucial protein and fat that helped prevent malnutrition. The hunting and fishing enterprise. But pirates didn't just rely on preserved food. They became expert hunters and fishermen out of necessity. Every pirate ship was basically a floating hunting expedition, and they developed techniques that would impress modern sportsmen. Fishing was the most obvious solution, but pirate fishing was way more sophisticated than just dropping a line over the side. Pirates used massive nets, multiple fishing lines, and even developed specialized techniques for different types of fish. They'd study ocean currents, weather patterns, and bird behavior to predict where fish would be most abundant. Some pirate crews became so skilled at fishing that they could feed their entire crew for days from a single good fishing expedition. They'd catch everything from small fish for immediate consumption to large fish that could be preserved for later. Pirates even learned to fish at night using torches and lanterns to attract fish. But here's where it gets really interesting. Pirates hunted sea turtles. These massive creatures could weigh 300–400 pounds and provide fresh meat for weeks. Pirates developed specialized techniques for catching turtles, including using nets and even diving underwater to capture them. Turtle meat was considered a delicacy and provided essential nutrients that prevented scurvy. On land, pirates were equally skilled hunters. When they stopped at islands, they'd organize hunting parties that could bring down wild pigs, deer, and birds. Some pirate crews even brought hunting dogs on their ships to help with land-based hunting expeditions. Pirates also became expert at catching seabirds. They'd use hooks, nets, and even trained birds to catch other birds. Seabirds provided fresh meat and eggs, both of which were crucial for maintaining crew health during long voyages. The raiding strategy, stealing food like pros. Here's where pirate food acquisition gets really interesting. They didn't just hunt and fish, they stole food with the same strategic thinking they used for stealing treasure. Pirates developed elaborate systems for identifying and capturing food-rich targets. Merchant ships carrying food supplies were actually more valuable to pirates than ships carrying gold. A ship loaded with flour, salt, pork, and preserved vegetables could feed a pirate crew for months. Pirates would study shipping routes and seasons to identify when food-carrying ships would be most vulnerable. Pirates became experts at identifying different types of merchant vessels based on their cargo. They could tell by looking at a ship's profile whether it was carrying sugar, flour, livestock, or other food supplies. This knowledge helped them choose targets that would provide maximum food value. When pirates captured ships, they'd immediately assess the food situation. They'd divide captured food supplies among their fleet, ensuring that every ship had adequate provisions. Some pirate captains kept detailed inventories of food supplies across their entire fleet, moving supplies between ships as needed. Here's a technique that shows how sophisticated pirate food planning was. They'd time their raids to coincide with harvest seasons. Pirates knew when sugar ships would be leaving the Caribbean, when grain ships would be crossing the Atlantic, and when livestock ships would be carrying fresh meat. They'd plan their entire annual calendar around food availability. Pirates also learned to capture ships carrying livestock, cows, pigs, chickens, and keep the animals alive on their ships. This provided fresh meat and eggs for extended periods. Some pirate ships became floating farms, with animals living below deck and providing ongoing food supplies. The cooking revolution, feeding 500 people on a floating kitchen. Now, here's where things get really impressive. Actually cooking food for 500 people on a wooden ship. Pirate cooks were basically running industrial-scale kitchens under the most challenging conditions imaginable. The ship's galley, the kitchen, was usually a tiny room with a single cooking fire. This fire had to be carefully managed to prevent burning down the ship while producing enough food for hundreds of people. Pirate cooks developed techniques for cooking massive quantities of food efficiently and safely. One of the most common cooking methods was the one-pot meal. Pirates would throw everything into massive cauldrons: salt pork, hardtack, vegetables, and whatever else they had. These stews could feed dozens of people and were designed to maximize nutrition while minimizing cooking time and fuel consumption. Pirates also developed portable cooking systems for when they were on land. They'd bring lightweight cooking equipment that could be quickly set up on beaches, allowing them to prepare fresh meals during stops. Some crews even had specialized cooking teams that would go ashore to prepare food while the rest of the crew maintained the ship. Here's a clever technique. Pirates learned to cook with seawater. They'd boil vegetables and hardtack in seawater, which provided salt and reduced their need for fresh water. Some pirates even developed recipes specifically designed for seawater cooking. The most skilled pirate cooks could prepare multiple types of meals simultaneously. They'd have different pots cooking different foods, creating meal variety that kept crews happy and healthy. Some pirate cooks became so skilled that they were specifically recruited by other crews. The bread problem. Solving the carbohydrate crisis. Bread was a major challenge for pirate crews. Fresh bread would spoil within days, but carbohydrates were essential for maintaining energy levels. Pirates developed several ingenious solutions to the bread problem. The most common solution was hardtack, but pirates also learned to make fresh bread when possible. They'd carry flour, yeast, and other baking supplies, creating fresh bread during calm weather or when stopped at islands. Some pirate ships even had specialized baking equipment. Pirates also discovered that they could make bread from unusual ingredients. They'd grind up dried corn, nuts, and even ground up hardtack to create flour substitutes. Some crews learned to make bread from plantains, sweet potatoes, and other tropical vegetables they'd find on islands. Here's a technique that shows pirate ingenuity. They'd make ship's bread by mixing flour with rum and seawater, creating a dough that could be baked in small portions. This bread had a unique flavor and would last longer than traditional bread. Some pirate crews even learned to make sourdough starters that could be maintained for months. These starters allowed them to make fresh bread whenever they had flour, even without access to commercial yeast. The vitamin challenge, preventing scurvy and other diseases. One of the biggest challenges facing pirate crews was preventing scurvy and other nutritional diseases. Pirates had to maintain balanced diets without access to fresh fruits and vegetables, and they developed techniques that were remarkably advanced for their time. Pirates learned that citrus fruits were essential for preventing scurvy, and they'd go to great lengths to obtain limes, lemons, and oranges. They'd preserve citrus fruits in salt, alcohol, and even create citrus-based drinks that could last for weeks. Some pirate crews even learned to grow their own vegetables on ship. They'd create small gardens in containers, growing sprouts and other quick-growing vegetables that provided essential vitamins. These ship gardens required careful management but provided crucial nutrition. Pirates also learned to identify and use local plants when they stopped at islands. They'd collect wild fruits, vegetables, and herbs that provided essential nutrients. Some pirate crews had members who specialized in identifying edible plants and preparing them safely. Here's something that'll surprise you. Pirates were among the first people to understand the importance of dietary variety. They deliberately seek out different types of food to ensure their crews got a range of nutrients. This knowledge helped them maintain healthier crews than many official naval vessels. The water and beverage solutions. While water was crucial, pirates also needed other beverages to maintain morale and health. They developed sophisticated systems for creating and storing various drinks that complemented their food supplies. Rum was obviously important, but pirates also made other alcoholic beverages. They'd ferment fruits and vegetables to create wines and beers that provided nutrition and helped preserve other foods. Some crews even distilled their own alcohol using captured sugar and other ingredients. Pirates also learned to make non-alcoholic beverages that provided nutrition and flavor. They'd create drinks from citrus fruits, herbs, and other ingredients that helped prevent disease and made their limited food supplies more palatable. Some pirate crews even learned to make coffee and tea using wild plants and captured supplies. These beverages provided energy and helped maintain crew morale during long voyages. The psychology of feeding 500 pirates. Here's something most people don't realize. Feeding 500 pirates wasn't just about nutrition. It was about psychology, morale, and maintaining order among dangerous criminals who were constantly stressed and potentially violent. Pirates understood that food quality directly affected crew behavior. Well-fed pirates were more loyal, more effective in combat, and less likely to mutiny. Smart pirate captains would invest significant resources in maintaining good food supplies because it was essential for crew management. Pirates also developed food-based reward systems. Better food was used as a reward for good performance, while reduced rations were used as punishment. Some crews even held special feasts to celebrate successful raids or mark important occasions. The social aspects of eating were equally important. Pirates would organize communal meals that helped build crew cohesion and maintain group morale. These meals were often the only time when the entire crew would gather together peacefully. The seasonal strategy, planning for food throughout the year. Successful pirate crews learned to plan their food acquisition around seasonal patterns. They understood when different types of food would be available and planned their activities accordingly. Spring meant fresh vegetables and fruits becoming available on various islands. Summer brought abundant fish and good weather for hunting. Fall was harvest time, when merchant ships would be carrying grain and other preserved foods. Winter required careful rationing and reliance on preserved supplies. Pirates would adjust their raiding patterns based on food availability. They'd target sugar ships during harvest season, hunt turtles during nesting season, and focus on preserved food supplies during winter months. Some pirate crews even established seasonal bases on different islands, allowing them to take advantage of local food sources throughout the year. These bases would be stocked with preserved foods and used as resupply points during long voyages. The legacy of pirate food innovation. The food systems developed by pirates were incredibly advanced for their time. Their preservation techniques, cooking methods, and nutritional understanding influenced maritime food practices for centuries. Many modern survival food techniques are based on methods first developed by pirates. Military MREs, camping food, and emergency rations all use principles that pirates figured out centuries ago. Pirates also influenced the development of international cuisine. Their mixing of different cultural food traditions created new dishes and cooking techniques that spread throughout the Caribbean and beyond. The logistical systems pirates developed for managing food supplies were studied by military organizations and influenced the development of modern supply chain management. Conclusion: feeding an army of criminals. The next time you complain about meal planning or grocery shopping, remember the pirate cooks who had to feed 500 hungry criminals every day using nothing but their wits, creativity, and incredible resourcefulness. These weren't just tough guys who could eat anything. They were sophisticated food managers who solved logistical problems that would challenge modern organization. They developed preservation techniques, hunting strategies, and cooking methods that kept their crews alive and healthy during months at sea. Pirates proved that with creativity, planning, and determination, you can feed large groups of people, even under the most challenging conditions. Their innovations in food preservation, cooking, and nutrition were centuries ahead of their time and influenced food practices that we still use today. The story of pirate food isn't just about survival. It's about human ingenuity and the incredible lengths people will go to when they're determined to succeed. Pirates didn't just steal treasure, they created an entire food system that kept their floating cities alive and thriving on the high seas.